Hello and welcome along to another episode and another end of season review from this FM22 One Club story with Hemel Hempstead Town with me, Daniel. It's part 104 today, and before we go any further, if you didn't see the last episode, it's in the eye above. Just watch it, it was unbelievable. We are back today to review our 12th season at the football club, and although largely our rise has been greater than expected, I think this season possibly tops them all. But it also gives us a reminder of luck we've had along the way too. So our priorities today, we're going to have a look at obviously our squad plans for the summer. But I want to take a stop off at staffing today because we haven't looked for a few years. And it's probably the area quietly I've been improving the most in the last 2 or 3 seasons since we reached the Premier League. It's something that obviously changed our fortunes back in League 2 alongside the signing of Ricky J. Jones. And I feel I've neglected it a bit in these end of season reviews compared to how important it's been in our rise. We'll of course do the usual end of season review and all the stuff off the pitch as well. So if you're looking forward to that and you are enjoying the series, please do chuck a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe down below for daily FM22 content from 2 long-term stories. We've got something a bit different going on in the head coach this week, so you can find that series up in the eye above, as well as the Twitch channel, the football podcast with the EFL playoffs just around the corner, and of course the new merchandise store too. 5% off everything till the 7th of May. We're into the last week of that discount now. Load FM5 is the code you need at checkout. Finally, you can support the show as a channel member by clicking the join button down below if you wish. But let's get cracking with the big news at Hemel Hempstead Town. Those of you that were here last episode will know exactly what happened. We got 6th place in the Premier League, Europa League football next season, and we somehow snuck a classic, what is now becoming a pretty trademark 1-0 win against Manchester City in the FA Cup final. So the first major trophy is in the club. I've actually got a little bit hasty in my excitement and gone through a whole day since. So we're going to go through all the key messages at the end of the season and then reflect on what might be happening at Hemel Hempstead Town this summer. So you left me at about this point here in the last episode as we won nearly £2 million. We won the FA Cup trophy. And of course we had some excitement as well. We guaranteed Europa League football, and that was one of the most exciting things. But we did also, at the same time, have what I would consider to be a few concerns. So what we're going to do is look at all of the key elements since that cup final win. Now, one of the messages you'll remember when we finished the last episode was Arthur and Do wanting a silly wage. That didn't concern me because that happens all the time. What did concern me, if we go up a little bit more, is this. The board wanted to meet to discuss renewing Arthur and Do's contract. Now, firstly, I like it from an FM point of view because it's something that would happen in real life and it's great to see it in the game. I've not encountered it before. What I am worried about from this point of view is Arthur and Do going above our head to the board to talk about getting a contract and getting it to a stage where the chairman's discussing it with me. That's not good. We did reject it. He's obviously thrown his toys out the pram, but most other players are agreeing to new deals. So at the moment, I'm not really that worried. If we lose and Do, it will be for a massive, massive profit. I think at the moment, the issue is that he's wanted by the likes of Arsenal and the likes of Liverpool, who have obviously been champions so many years recently. And that's probably turning his head a bit. You've seen how important he is. Look, he started 37 out of 38 league games. He played in the cup final and semi to great effect. But he's not indispensable. And he is 27 now. So he's someone who, potentially, if the right deal comes along, we might yet take it. What I do want to do is keep him. But if that interest wanes in the summer, then maybe we'll try and take advantage with a new deal. Let's move on to the end of season stuff because we have got the end of season review. Let's do that before we look at all the individual bits. It was a special season. And for the first time, well, I think since League 1 or League 2 was the last time we won a title, wasn't it? But certainly since the lower leagues in the EFL, we have not had a trophy here. And for it to be the FA Cup, my favourite, it's an absolutely incredible moment. So after that, we have got the new arrivals. And this perfectly sums up what we wanted to do this year. There isn't any scrolling. There's no extra players on here. We've prioritised quality over quantity. And just look at the top 2 from last summer. We've got Carlos Torres, 8.75 million, top scorer, absolute superstar. He is unfortunately, alongside Ndu, the only other player who won't sign a deal for a less than ridiculous wage. But he's still got 3 years left, I think. He's 2036. so there's no rush to get him a new deal. He's been brilliant, and what a signing. We wanted to improve. When we're losing Ricky J. Jones, someone who's done so much to the club, when we're loaning out Will Lancashire to Luton Town, we want a proper replacement, and my word was Carlos Torres that. The other one, of course, was Dominic Chauvin. £11 million from Inter, still a wonder kid, they both are in fact. What a footballer, he's improving immensely, and it's something we're going to reflect on when we look at the squad, because some of these are becoming superstars now. And I don't think this squad needs an awful lot to become a challenger for the top four. He got a 7.15 rating, slight issue with fitness, because if we have a look at here, his natural fitness is 16, but he keeps running out of steam. So I don't know how we can address that situation. And then look at the January signings. Although I should just mention Prince Shabinda first, it doesn't look like we're going to get him back. He's been an absolute superstar for us. 7.01 rating, 35 starts, really plugged a gap in that left back area. Going to be difficult to replace next year as well. We obviously got the young keeper from Hearts. Haruna was a little bit of a gamble on loan, and Depay only played one game, albeit he played quite well in the cup. But look at the two big ones we signed in January. De Vita and Arlan, holding midfielders. That's to replace players who were making a big impact at the club. Don't forget we lost Burnout. I thought that was going to destroy our season. Well, Arlan prevented that. 10.75 million. I was worried about him getting a slightly higher wage. I was worried also about the amount of money he was coming for and whether we'd get a big profit. Yeah, we're gonna. What a footballer. Settled into that holding role. I think it might actually become his position from next year. And I might train him to become a natural there because he's been a star. If not, we promote this guy who is going to play the Europa League games there. Let me assure you of that. Rodrigo De Vita, 1.1 million. I stand by my statement in January. This might become the best signing we ever make because I think he's going to be world class. And when we look at him, he's contributed for the under-18s to getting us promoted in that division this year. And he's also played a bit of first-team football. And my word, is he improving with it. The signings we've made have made a huge impact, and where we haven't been able to plug gaps with quality players, we've got loan ones who have contributed too. In terms of transfers out, we should reflect on it because there's some stars in here. Bernal's gone to Celtic, he's doing really well. If we could get him back, I would. And in fact, we'll probably have a look at that now we're in Europe. But he's a wonderful player. His minimum fee release was exercised, and that's why we're trying to get loads of players tied up now. The other ones that went, Ryan Young to Derby, didn't have much of a season there in the end. Adam Boschel, who's done really well at Motherwell. Ricky J. Jones, the hero. We've done enough of a tribute to him, but I'm almost tempted to try and get him back for Europa League football next year. He's still good enough to contribute as our fourth choice striker. We've got Christian Flores. How could we turn down 18.5 million? And when you look at De Vita for 1.1 compared to him, or even Arlan for 10, it's a ridiculous replacement really, isn't it? And then a few of the fringe players went out as well. Josh O'Connor, Paul Thornhill and Ian Burrows. But none of them really did much in the lower leagues. Let's go to the loans out because with the Europa League next year, we're going to need a slightly bigger squad. And we need to know which of these are going to contribute. Now, there are some positives out of here. We are a bit short in the striking department. And Jason Dolner, albeit in League 2, has won the Golden Boot this year, which is something I'm quite impressed with. He might be someone who just hangs around the squad next season to see if he can improve. We also had Will Lancashire, who scored goals galore at Luton in the Championship. Great base stats, but I'd probably rather give Dolner a chance of the two. We've got Harry Thornley, who's got that great personality. He's improving a bit, so maybe can be kept on as a backup centre-half, but probably will fall second fiddle to Josh Berry, because he's become the better player of the two, and I wouldn't have thought that a few years ago. But 2.5-star ability, he's basically a replacement for Josh O'Brien, as we're at that little crossroads where a lot of the 29-year-olds have only got 1 year left on their deal, and I don't want to give them a pay rise into their 30s when, realistically, they're going to dwindle in squad importance. I think most of the others out on loan were bit part players, apart from Terry Clark. We had to loan him again the second half of the year. He will be involved next season, because at the moment we've got 8 midfielders for the 4 position. We're going to need 9 or 10 with Europe as well. Let's get through to the season's results though. That's the main story. We won the FA Cup. And look at the results as well. We had that awful scare against Watford in the third round. We were 2-0 down with 55 minutes gone. And we brought on Torres and Rica to save the day. And if it hadn't been for that, how different could it have been? From that point though, we didn't concede a goal. We needed our star strikers to save us on the bench in the early rounds. But once we got to the quarters, we were basically exemplary. And we deserved to win every game. The Carabao Cup, we got to the quarter-final. Arsenal just too good for us there. And in the Premier League, 6th place, Newcastle, Spurs, Southampton all bottled it at the end. And I'd imagine that benefits us because Southampton have been in Europe nearly every year. And with some of the best players in the world like Maya, I think they might lose a few and there'll be less teams to compete with at the top. Let's go to the moments to remember. Biggest win, a 6-1 win at Watford. I remember that one very well. That was also goal of the season for Carlos Torres. And then the match to remember, no surprises, it's a good one at last. The 5-1 win against Chelsea in the Premier League. Biggest home win of the season, it was superb. And Mario Ricca helped put us 4 up in 20 minutes with a hat-trick. Should it be the FA Cup final though? I think arguably it should be, regardless of that performance. Let's have a look at the reputation because this is the big news. 3.5 star continental reputation. The FA Cup finals watched around the world, as is European football. And we're going to be in the Europa League next year. We've got new sponsorship deals. There's lots of NAs there, but the prize money will be up, I can assure you. And the merchandise sales we'll take a look at in a moment. For the best 11, you can see that Bernal's still in there in the holding role, as is Cordes as the number 10. The rest of it picks itself, and the ratings are all very solid. What we do need, though, is Arlan to perform consistently and to get in a couple of new players, particularly with Shabinda's loan ending in the next few weeks. Moving on, the accolades, no awards for us. I'm a little upset by that. Ian Watts became the youngest goal scorer in the league. He finally got his moment to remember. We also got the highest ever transfer fee for Christian Flores, almost as much as we paid for anyone to be fair. And then looking at player of the season, it's a mix between Torres and Ricca. They've both been brilliant. Torres on the forefront of the goals, Ricca forefront of the assists. And it's just been fabulous. But Ricca is a fan's favourite. We understand it. And we finish with this, history in the making, and that's the game they've picked out. That is the FA Cup third round tie. 2 down after 56 minutes. I panicked, bought on Ricca, bought on Torres. Ricca got 2, Torres set them up. And we should remember, that was Bernal's final goal for the club. And what a contribution. It essentially led us to an FA Cup trophy. But a fabulous season to reflect on there. Let's have a look at some of the other key bits, because we did have inductees into the overall best 11. And that man is Mario Ricca. I'd imagine he's going to be here a few more years. I'd love to see by the end of this save whether we've got Malcolm, Jones, Ricca, and we'll probably have Torres in there as well. Which 2 are starting, which 2 on the bench. I can't wait to find out. If you look at that side though, that's probably our last great side from the Football League. There's still a few of the non-league ones in there. The likes of Cole Kopekwa, the likes of Brandon Bryan War, who I'm shocked is still in there, and David Gregory, Riley Harbottle. But it's not going to be long, is it? Victor Sedende deserves a mention as a striker too, because he scored plenty of goals and was crucial to 2 promotions. We're not going to go into the data hub in too much detail today, but I just want to show you this one because it does emphasise how much our defending's improved, particularly in terms of interceptions and the ratio of tackles won. And that's the difference, having fullbacks who are brilliant defensively. It's made a real difference to us, and John Moore has kept the expected goals higher than the goals conceded because he's been keeping out good chances too. Let's move on to the club vision because for the first time we're not expected to fight against relegation. Mid-table they want next season, but even worse than that, and probably the thing that scared me the most, they want the last 16 of the Europa League. Now for an English side you could say yes you should be, but for a first ever time in Europe that might be pushing it. I was hoping if we got a tough group, we might even drop out in third and then have a chance at winning the Europa Conference, but we'll wait and see if that happens or not. Of course, the training camp for the end of year, I've gone for Scotland. Got to go for the cheapest one. Scotland, beautiful place. Why not? You can't learn anything elsewhere that you wouldn't learn there. We got hit with a tax bill because we're starting to make big money now. And the commercial summary, I think, shows where the core of our team lies. Because we have got Torres, Moreira, Ricca and Ndu as the top 4. Panjovic is a big international, despite not playing much for us. He'll get football in the Europa League next year. But that is a core that is going to be with us for a long time, unless Ndu throws his toys out the pram. We've got new partnerships, new sponsorships, everything's creeping up now. I really feel we're starting to become an elite Premier League club. And give it another couple of years, could we be challenging for that top 4? I'd like to hope so. Let's go and look at the initial budget though, because that's pretty promising as well. We have been given £72 million and a wage budget of £1.2 million. For perspective, if we look at the moment, our wage bill is £720,000. That is a big increase, and it's my job to keep things under control. Of course, we had that slight step up in January when we bought in Arlan. He's on 57,000 a week. I don't really want to go far beyond that the next 2 years. Once the new stadium opens, we're getting double the gate, we're not paying rent, etc. It'll be great. But for now, we've still got big restrictions on the stadium. With European football here, I want to just give it a year to make sure we can settle in. But we've still got great players, and most of them are signing perfectly reasonable deals. So that's the end of season review. Everything, of course, looking healthy. I did mention later on in the season, but just to show it, we did get another upgrade on the youth recruitment now. So bar youth facilities and youth level, we're not far away. The stadium's on the way. And of course, we've got a benefit in the youth team as well. Because if we go to the under-18s, they have won their division, which means we're finally seeing some promotion. The champions above Charlton by 4 points. They've been excellent. Watts, Mumford and later on De Vita, all crucial to that. And I'm hopeful that in the next tier, we can maybe make a bit of a difference. Because in Division 2, you start to face some of the great sides. But the little area I mentioned we wanted to focus on off the pitch was staffing, because we have been expanding these teams massively. And I've said this so many times in these One Club saves, and it's always been my main advice to people who have asked for it, is expand your staffing before you expand your team. Yes, there are very odd exceptions, like when we had the chance to break our wage bill to get Ricky J. Jones in League 2, but normal circumstances always prioritise staffing, because good coaches can improve average players in average facilities. And we saw that when we did our big restructure in League 2. Now, though, we're just going big. And we have got a massive team of wonderful people in. We've got a lovely new deal on 45 grand a week. They're still not letting us do many of our coaching badges, annoyingly. We've got a brilliant spread of excellent coaches. And we continue to just add little nuggets to it. And most importantly, as well as the coaching team at the moment, there's still some of the old names there, as well as some new bigger ones. But into the physio team, the sports science teams and the recruitment teams, we have got a lot more high quality people in. So if we look at the recruitment, for example, Mark Booth is a guy who came in this season, a recruitment analyst, 20 for data, 16 for judging ability. If we have a look at the scouts, where we've been trying to bring in lots of people, we've got some wonderful new additions, and there will be more to come as well. 2 or 3 we're being linked with at the moment. But earlier on this season, we added the likes of Simon Francis, the former Bournemouth player, 16 for ability and potential. We also added Warren Spalding, who again, a bit younger, only in his early 40s, 17 and 16 respectively. We've really focused on getting high quality people in to make good judgments on players that we want to join. Jeremy Lader is another one that we've signed, 17 and 18 respectively. You've got to keep these teams progressing, and a lot of the coaches will improve if you get them badges and you keep playing at higher levels with better facilities. But sometimes you just have to add the right people. And I feel we've been exceptional at that. More so even than the player recruitment. Because these guys have found most of them. I haven't had to do a lot of the work. Normally you'd be setting loads of crazy scouting focuses and looking desperately for players in recruitment meetings. But quite often we've been able to recruit early in these saves. And I feel that's made a difference to our success. So let's have a look at the squad. It's where we're going to finish. We are in the midst of offering new contracts, and I'm pleased to report I've had a little nose around at them. Bar the front 2, who have still got 3 years on their deal, and Rika hasn't got a release clause anyway, and Arthur and Du, all of them are willing to sign decent deals who run out before 2037. So Striker will get a new deal, Chauvin will get a new deal. Looking at the bench, the same will apply to Maya, to Danilo Jose, probably to De Vita as well down there. There's plenty of people who we're going to be able to tie down a core of a squad. And that is the most important aspect at the moment for us. We have got this situation, if we put them in expiry date order, where next year, that bunch of sort of older heads who are backup players in the squad run out of contract. They all want a lot more money at the minute. We're talking 10, 15, 20 grand a week more. And I don't know if they're worth it. Of course, going into Europe next year, I'd love to have their experience. I'd love to have their quality in the squad. But we have to mix that with, actually, can we get players that are just as good that will be great in the future? And we had an offer for Charlie McNeil, which we did accept in January before he rejected his club. And with O'Brien, we've got Berry coming back, who's basically the same quality as him. I don't think I can justify offering them new deals to keep them. Maybe we do till January and try and sell them, but it's a risk. And a couple of them are wanted now. So if we get offers, I think we just have to accept them. The slight jeopardy with the Albi Armin one is that obviously we know we're losing Shavinder as well. So unless we can get a left back early in the window, I think we might be in a little bit of trouble there. What I'm hoping, as we can't get him at the moment, is Shabinda will go back to Arsenal. That bit's just an inquiry, by the way. We'll go back to Arsenal, and then he will be loan listed or transfer listed again. If we can bring him in permanently, I'd love to do it. But in terms of the core of the squad, there's not really a huge amount to do. I think we're in that situation now where it is quality over quantity still. The only issue next season is we might need 2 or 3 more in the squad with Europe in mind. But if we can do that by having fringe players that we bring back from our loans, like Berry, like Thornley, Terry Clark, it means we probably only need to sign those 3 or 4 players again. My immediate thoughts when I look at the squad are definitely a left back, whether Shabinda stays or not, because we need to replace Albi Armin. A number 10 because Cordes, McNeil, not good enough. Haruna didn't really do the job as a lone player, so I'd like to replace them. We need another striker because we've only got 3 good ones at the club, and that's if McNeil stays. And if he goes, we'll just keep Dolner as 4th choice, but I am sort of regretting selling Ricky now, I can't lie to you. And Ian Watts, as good as he's been for us, he's not going to be good enough. I think that's become evident very quickly. The only other area I'm contemplating is goalkeeper. Again, Neskovic, only 1 year left on his deal. He's not the best backup, and I'm kind of thinking now, do we need an actual Europa League keeper? Someone who's 2.5-star ability, confident, experienced, or got potential to be better than more. One of the two. But either way, I could see that happening. So based on that, we're talking about 4 players essentially. The rest of the squad I'm happy with. We've got 2 good right backs. We've got loads of good centre halves and a few coming back from loan. We bought the midfielders we needed in January and we're largely covered there with Terry Clark coming back. It's just that little bit of gold dust as a number 10 and up front. The striker realistically is going to have to sit behind Torres and Rica, so we can't get someone who wants to play straight away. We can't get someone who's ready. We have to get someone who's just past their peak or well before it. And left back's the only defensive area. We're looking for a first teamer because Arlan will now become a holding midfielder and I'm pretty confident he can do the job well. So let me know if you agree with that assessment. Do you think we need a much bigger squad for Europe next year, or should I put some of the youngsters on the bench for the group stage games? I'm sure we'll be able to get at least 3rd and guarantee Europe after Christmas. And we've got enough experience in the squad dotted about. But I'd like to get your thoughts on those 3, particularly O'Brien and McNeil, who have got that Premier League quality. Just whether you think we should keep them, offer the bigger wages. Tell me what you think. If you did enjoy this episode and end of season review, please do chuck a thumbs up on it. Subscribe down below for daily FM22 content from 2 long-term stories. The head coach will be back tomorrow before a transfer special here in 2 days' time. There might not be many signings, but they're going to be big. And I'd love to get Shabinda back. We'll find out if we can next time around. In the meantime, there's links in the eye above to a recent head coach episode, the last Hemel one, as well as the Twitch channel, football podcast and merchandise store. But above my head now will be yesterday's head coach. A massive thank you for your support as always. And I'll see you again next time for a transfer special ahead of our first European football at Hemel Hempstead Town.